Right to go?
Yep.
Fine music. Right, welcome everyone to the West Wimmera Shire for June meeting here at Benaio. If anyone is watching this recording later on, it's because we've had extreme difficulties getting internet service here, unfortunately, so we only have a recording of today's meeting and no live streaming. We'll start. If we could all please be standing for David, if you could do welcome and the acknowledgement and prayer.
The West Wimmera Shire Council acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet and pays respect to their elders past, present and emerging. Let us pray. Almighty God, we humbly ask your blessing upon this council, guide and prosper our decisions to the advancement of your glory and the true welfare of the people of West Wimmera Shire. Amen.
Let's wait for Richard to get some air in here.
Let us suffocate.
Right, item 4.1, do we have any apologies? I don't believe so. 4.2, we have no leave of absence. 4.3, does anyone have any conflicts of interest in any items on the agenda? If not, we'll move to item 5, written questions on notice. We have received one written question on notice. If someone's able to read out the question, yep, Dalton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we have a question from Jessie Ferguson of Elijah Lake, and Jessie's writing in on behalf of the Harrow RSL Committee as the Secretary of the Treasurer. I will just rearrange this so the question's at the end of the statement, if that's okay. And this is in regards to the Harrow RSL building, which is a council building. We understand that for the project or for the building, funding needs to be acquired for the building project to move forward, and we would like to be consulted on a regular basis in regard to how the plans are moving forward. Our very passionate, dedicated committee is looking forward to working with the council in regards to restoring this historical building in Harrow. As the committee, we are asking if we could please have a proposed timeline for the concept plan and when this would be presented to council.
Thank you, Dalton. Again, this is a matter that's yet to come before council, so council is not actually fully aware of the details of this matter at the moment. Look, we are quite happy and quite willing to work with the Harrow RSL committee. We do appreciate all the work they put in there and we thank them for this question. And as they point out as well, they understand that funding is required for anything that is to proceed there. Again, we are quite often driven by a very tight budget situation, so any decisions that we make as a council will have to go through the budget process, and we'll also have to probably be requiring grant funding, and again, due to the sporadic nature of those sort of grants, we'll have to wait until we can find the right grant for anything to come. So unfortunately, we aren't able to give a full and detailed timeline at this stage, but again, like I said, we're more than happy to continue working with the RSL committee, so thank you for that question. We have no further written questions. We no longer have a gallery with us here, so I think we can skip over item 5.2. We'll move to item 6, our delegates' reports. Over the last month, we have had quite a busy month. I think one of the highlights has been the opening of the Goroke Kindergarten. I think that was quite a terrific thing to see. And we certainly thank the local parents group there for their donation to the project. And it's fantastic to see all the kids playing around on their new playground there. It's all abilities and all inclusive, and I think that's such a wonderful thing for such a group there in Goroke. We've also had a number of other meetings. One that hasn't made the list here is yesterday I had a meeting with Anne Webster along with all our Wimmera Mallee Alliance group, along with the 3 River Murray councils as well, to discuss our resource ready strategy with Anne. And we certainly thank Dr. Webster for her time, and she's very generous with her time. She's well aware of the challenges that all these renewables and mining projects are going to have for our region, and we certainly was grateful that she was able to take on board. And we certainly want to give thanks to her for organising a meeting with both Minister Bowen and Minister McBain for when the rest of the team are in Canberra. So that's always a quite a challenge to actually get in to see ministers when you're in Canberra on an ELGA trip. So we certainly thank her for her involvement in that as well. I think the rest of the items there we can take as read. Councillor Hobbs.
So yes, I also attended the Baroque Kindergarten Playground grand opening, and I just thought it was really good to see that the kids had been involved in the design of that particular project. Both myself and Mayor Tim Mear attended the Barragagin Land Use Information Session. I think that was just yesterday, which was quite interesting. The only other things I wanted to say was that this grant business is looks like it's becoming quite difficult. Whilst we did very well with tiny towns as a whole of the Shire, there was a number of other organisations that did completely miss out. So I think we got 5 of the 9 grants for tiny towns, which was brilliant. But yeah, just in the last few days, there's 7 grants across 3 organisations that have all been declined. So I just think the grant funding just seems to be coming harder and harder. I did the guest speaker spot for the Lions Club last week, which was really good to get out and see them. The national conference, I'm going to be attending the national conference for the Rural Leadership Program, which is looking at trying to develop 5 leaders, hopefully from this area, to try and grow rural leadership. So what else? The Lucinda Smith, just thought it's worth wishing her all the best. She is representing this area as at state level for the Junior Rural Ambassador Award. So that would be, I do wish her the best. I think she's a fantastic candidate for that. King's birthday weekend, we had a very interesting weekend. We had a tree planting that happened at our place, and that involved like 5 whole days. Like you can sort of like see that whole volunteerism. There were mainly like a whole lot of medical practitioners and just some really interesting people that came out and travelled up from Melbourne. Good to see the new apartments. 1 of 2 apartments has been opened opposite the caravan park, so that's providing another accommodation option. And we also had a massive wedding at the Shire Hall, so I thought it was really good to see the Shire Hall getting use. It was a brilliant wedding venue, and the economic impact of, having, like that place was just packed out, like a lot of cars, huge wedding. So that was really good. So that's about all from me.
Thank you, Councillor Hobbs. Councillor Hicks.
I'm going to be very brief, as read.
Thank you, Councillor Hicks. Councillor Pretlove.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So I didn't attend the Baroque Kindergarten Playground program, or on the 10th to 6th, it's like on your role, your impact essentials for local government councillors. Now we did have on the 9th of the 6th the Audit and Risk Committee meeting, and I just want to mention how positive it was to have all of those that oversee on that committee, and our internal and external auditors, and just the feedback that we get from them is extremely positive. We do have a little bit of time at the end of the meeting that we go into without any of our staff, and I just feel it's important to I guess relay just how positive the feedback is, the transparency within our financial team, and the willingness to work with our auditors, given that we have been in a bit of a sticky situation here in the last 12 months ago, really. So it's extremely positive. To hear that other shires really aren't applying for grants unless it's 100% funded, I think is, I feel like we are really getting ourselves back on track to be able to put together or often put something towards, particularly for our council-owned assets. I think that's really important, and that we can, weigh up the benefits and decide whether it's important to us if we're having to put some money towards some funding. So I think that's really positive, and the fact that I know we initially, were anticipating paying back $1 million of what our loan was, but there was certainly no push or that we weren't making that right decision really. I think it sits well within everybody on that committee, but to be pulling that back to 500,000 given the circumstances with the extra fuel diesel costs and it's just safeguarding us really going forward. So I just think it's really important for us to know that, for us all to be aware that there's certainly nothing causing red flags within the audit of this committee with all the checks and balances that we've done there. So that was, I thought, very positive and well done for our crew, Jason, Dalton and all the team that do what they do to keep our on top or our tax on our finances. So well done. And thank you to the Banana community for really spoiling us here today. And I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pritlove. Councillor Houlihan.
Just, I was an apology for the Grove kindergarten opening, playground opening. I do apologise for that. Just had something come up in the very last minute. Got there. As Jane just said, but thank you to the Benio volunteers.
The hearing aids are working, thanks to
your food has been excellent. Thank you. Just one of the other I went to the Eden Hope Apsley Tarot Balmoral football netball day where we've been playing for Shield for, I'm going to say, 25 years. Harrow Balmoral won the Shield, but the thing about the Shield is it's now full and we will have, I've got them organising for another Shield and I'll bring that to council here in the very near future. Thank you.
Thank you. Move to item 7, which condolences. I don't think we have any. Move to item 8, previous minutes, 8.1 for the meeting held on Wednesday, 20th of May.
I'm happy to move 8.1, 8.2.
Yep, 8.2 for the unscheduled confidential meeting on the 28th of May. They both moved. Prepared to seconded by Councillor Hobbs. There's no discussion required. Put to the vote. All in favour? It is carried. We have no business arising. We have no notice of motion. We have the council forum record from Wednesday, the 6th of May, 2026. Moved by Councillor Hicks, the recommendation. Is anyone prepared to second? Councillor Pritlove. There's no discussion required. All in favour? That is moved. We have no deputations or petitions. Item 13, 13.1, the 2026-27 budget and annual plan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to present the 26-27 budget and annual plan today for Council's consideration. I think Council will note that it is a fairly conservative budget, I believe a responsible budget where we are trying our best to get the best possible value for the available resources we have available to live within our means. I I'll ask Dalton and Jason maybe to provide a bit more detail, yeah. Mr. Executive, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, David. I take the report as read, but just a few highlights out of the budget. Revenue for the year is budgeted at 25.8 million. That's including 9.2 million in operating grants, 5.2 million in capital grants, and 9.2 million in rates revenue. Expenditure budget for the year is 29.9 million. That'll leave us at the 30th of June, budgeted 4.5 million in cash. And our capital works budgeted for the year will be 8.27 million, including just over 5 million on roads infrastructure. Budget also includes drawing down another 500,000 off in loan repayments to get our net borrowings down to 1 million by the end of the year. The operating result is a net deficit of 4.1, so that's still highlighting our ongoing challenges in funding our asset renewal. Fees and charges, register is also there for adoption. Fees and charges have increased on average in line with CPI. You note the cemetery fees are included. They haven't been updated with the fees amended by the Port Cemeteries Trust, so they will be in operation after adoption. I'm happy to take any other questions on the budget.
Sorry, can I just make a comment just to the public basically, that the fees and charges of the cemetery have only been included in our statement for completeness. The council do not actually set the fees are set by the trust, and council administers on behalf of the trust's some administration function on behalf of the cemetery. And they're only included for completeness within the report.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Everybody seems to be poring over the budget.
We're speechless from the professional way that the team has developed the smoke and mirrors. I mean, the budget.
Just one other thing to point out that may be of interest. We got an email this morning. Our financial assistance grants, 80% will be paid this Friday, so that will be 6.6 million for the 26-27 year.
So on Friday, tomorrow. No, next day, yeah.
It's probably worth noting that we have not made a budget adjustment for that payment being received. We're expecting that next year consistency will flow through, which is always difficult, as you know, significantly.
So in other words, we could end up with a significant budget surplus this year, but there's no guarantee. Yeah.
Yeah, if they went back to say the 50%, it could be up to $2.5 million, $2.6 million impact to our budget next year.
Yeah.
If consistency doesn't continue to flow, which, as you know, I think an action out of the previous council meeting, we wrote to the Department of Government Services who issued the grant, basically calling for consistency going forward, because it is an issue for our council because we are so very reliant on those financial assistance grants.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned. It sounds good that we're getting 80% up front, but you know, the stings in the tail. Yeah, so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not free money.
No, that's right. But I think it's important as well that people realise that money is basically a forward payment. It's not extra money, let's say. So it's not like all of a sudden we've got $2 million extra to play with. It's money we're expecting to get next year we've got this year. Yes, Councillor Bretlove?
In this budget that we put together, what is the exact amount that we are anticipating to go out on our roads?
It's just over the 5.
That's
Yeah,
capital.
oh, yes, yeah, I found it. 3.23.
Maintenance as well.
Yep, it's just over $5 million in capital. There's also nearly $3.5 million in maintenance as well. That's roads and footpaths. That's the infrastructure.
Right. Is Anyone?
I'm happy to move the officer recommendation as is.
Points 1 to 11. So moved. Is anyone prepared to second?
Oh, I'll second it, even though the guillotine blade's falling.
Does the mover wish to speak?
Yes, I do. Firstly, thank you to the financial gurus at West Wimmera that spend so much time and effort putting this together. It is a conservative budget, like David's pointed out. We do try and get the best value for our money, and I think it's always interesting to point out at this time is just how reliant we are on external funding. Basically, just to, I guess, approximately our budget or our revenue from our ratepayers is about a third of our expense. And I think that just says it all in a nutshell of just how reliant we are on external funding. Obviously it's not ideal, but for the whole time I've been on council, which this is my 10th year, our rates have been capped by the state government this year, and in this budget going forward, we're sitting at a 2.75% capping, and we constantly see CPI affecting our expenses, and that's at a 3%, that high, 4.6, sorry. So that says it all as well. So the constraints of which we have to work within are huge. I mentioned before how having the Audit and Risk Committee and being part of that is a really valuable experience for me, just to hear and how they cast their eye over what's going on in West Wimmera, and the fact that we can I guess wrangle or make the figures work to the restrictions that we have and the things that are mandated upon us. I think it's really healthy and probably what most of our ratepayers want to see is money continually being spent on our road network, and this budget is doing exactly that, as much as committed as we can commit. And thankfully along the way there'll be other opportunities for funding, which, depending on the criteria, that we will always be, open for and really, receptive to, and us as councillors will make the decision on what funding we do apply for, and hopefully there are a lot of opportunities. We've seen a lot in the past, and I'm sure there will be still more opportunities, which will only improve the livability of West Wimmera. So thank you for those that have put this together, and as much as when you put it like that, it sounds a bit doom and gloom with our income versus expenses, but we seem to have some pretty good outcomes, every year. So hopefully we can keep doing this. And we have been repaying the loan that we had to commit to 12 months ago, I think, was it, of $2 million. And I'm not sure that we really had to draw down on too much of that at all. So I think that just sits along the side and supports us in case we don't get these financial payments from the tiers above us at the right time. So the fact that Jason just announced the 6.6 will be coming in Friday, we probably aren't going to need to draw upon that again. So really it's there, it's a buffer, and it just keeps us going so that it can be business as usual if we don't get our external funding when we believe we're going to get it. So we have paid back $500,000, and we're on track to continually do that the way this budget is. So again, thank you, and happy to support this.
Second, wish to speak.
I'll try and be brief. I think it's very difficult sometimes for the public to realise just how much time and effort is put into pulling together these budgets. and it's an extremely complex task. And I thank Dalton and his team for doing such a great job. The job is further complicated by the whole international, national and state financial and political climate right now. Everyone is aware of the rise in fuel costs, for example, and how unpredicted that was, and the ramifications for that we are still feeling and will continue to feel into the future. Taking those sorts of events into account when you're drawing a budget and looking at what your expenses might be over the next 12 months is an extremely difficult job. And I think the team has done a great job in producing the budget in a very timely manner and presenting it to Council for our ratification. So thank you to you and your team. As Jody has said, you know, we'd all like to have more money to spend on activities, but I think we're becoming increasingly more aware that money is becoming a really tight commodity, that grant money is becoming more competitive and less available. And we as a small council rely to a very large extent on public grants. And I suppose we all hope that we'll continue to be as successful in getting those grants as we have been in the future. So again, good luck. Thank you to the team, and I think the budget is an extremely good document, a conservative document, one which we can all work and live within.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Hobbs.
Yeah, I think Jody and Richard have summed it up very well, but just to reiterate, the thing that always probably surprises people the most is that the total income for rates and charges is for 9.5 million, and that is only a third of the total expenses. But yeah, thanks to the whole team, Dalton and Jason, and everyone else has been involved in putting it together.
Anyone else wish to speak for or against?
A big thank you to our staff. So documentation like this, the amount of time it takes to put that on paper and present to us, I just say well done. Thank you.
Does the mover wish to sum up?
No.
No, we'll put it to the vote then. All in favour? That is carried. Move to 14.1, the election period policy.
This report presents the election period policy, which is under review. This policy is a requirement for the Local Government Act. We've done a comprehensive review back in November 2022. This review we haven't made any major amendments. The ones that we have made were regarding a reference to the 1989 Act, which was removed. We've included the overarching funding principles, the additional definition of electoral material, which has come from the Local Government Act, and that media statements will be made by CEO only. So following the review, we recommend that the updated policy be adopted.
Any questions?
I'm happy to move the officer recommendation.
It's moved. Councillor Hobbs, you're seconding? That's seconded by Councillor Hobbs. Mover wish to speak?
Only briefly to say it's really just a slight upgrade of the existing policy. And it's one of those issues that we as council regularly receive existing policies for modification and ratification.
Does anyone wish to speak? Anyone else wish to speak? Mover wishes to sum up?
No, thank you very much.
Put it to the vote then. All in favour? That is carried. Move to item 14.2, community sponsorship and contribution grant applications.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we've received 3 applications under a community sponsorship and contribution grant program. They are from Eco Tourism, Apsley Alligators, and Kylie Neighbourhood House. Going through in order, so Eco Tourism, they operate their tourist information centre within Edenhope, and they've applied for just under $15,000. This application was assessed under the criteria of the grant application or the grant guidelines. There was actually 2, as part of the process, they submit kind of a work program for the upcoming year. There was 2 lines within the application that didn't meet the criteria, unfortunately, hence why the recommendation for the amount is under what they originally applied for. Our officers are now, should this be successful, we'll then go and have a conversation with them about how they can fit the grant going forward. Apsley Alligators have applied for $5,000 under the grant. Apsley Alligators run the preschool program in Apsley, and Caniva Neighbourhood House have applied for $3,500, and they supply a number of community events at lower known costs to Caniva and local communities.
Are there any questions?
I'm happy to move the officer recommendations for the 3 organisations.
It's moved. Councillor Pretlow, seconding. There's a move, wish to speak.
Yeah, I think it's very important that council supports as many community organisations as we can, and bearing in mind that funding for such activities is pretty limited. I will note that with the Apsley Alligators, I think we've provided financial support. Jodie, help me out. 6 years, 7 years, 8. Yeah, and I'm certainly very pleased to continue for this next financial year the same sort of support. They do a great job in Apsley for that community, for the kids, and I'm pleased that council has continued in the past and hopefully in the future to provide support. Edenhope Tourism provide 6 days a week tourism support. I think it's 6 days a week, and they're all volunteers. And this money will be used to provide more operational costs, and certainly is not going towards any payment of staff. And Caniva Link Neighbourhood House also provides support and advice to community groups, community activities. And again, I think it's good that council can provide some financial support and encouragement. Thank you.
Second, wish to speak.
Yes. We're happy to support this. I think we've got 3 very valuable community groups that have applied through this granting stream. The Edenhope Tourism speaks for itself. The Apsley Alligators, as Richard you've just said, is, I know I hear feedback of just the numbers that it attracts, and it probably doesn't have the full flow and effect to the school. It would be probably bursting its sides, but it certainly is positive for that community. So I think, anything little we can do to help draw families to that community is positive. And the Caniva Neighbourhood House, again, is another really valuable community group. But I must say, it is important, and I'm really pleased that this has been, particularly with the Edenhope Tourism, it has been analysed really well, and the fact that not all of the application fit the criteria is, again, the constraints that we work within. It's really important that when we hand money out to community groups that we abide by the rules and regulations and the criteria that we set, because this really does get looked upon regularly, and we certainly don't want to be doing bad things in this area. So anyway, I'm sure this will help the community groups, and very happy to support it. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak for or against? Councillor Hobbs.
Yeah, just think that you've got 3 good organisations there. And I think it's also worth thinking in terms of all three of those groups. It's about the social and the mental health benefits that come with getting together, particularly like Apsley Alligators. And Neighbourhood House is another one. Eden Hope Tourism, I just feel like for 8,800, that is the most cost-effective way of trying to deliver a face-to-face tourism service, particularly in light of the fact that as much as people say, oh, you can go online and you can get that information, but you've got to have the accurate and the up-to-date information has got to be there. And also too, for somewhere like Eden Hope, where they only really have 2 accommodation providers, they are also providing that information about the places like Apsley and Goroke and Harrow and that surrounding district. So, and that's really, really good. So yeah, very happy to support all of this.
Anyone else wish to speak?
I support all 3 groups that have applied. The previous speakers have covered it. Thank you.
Mr. Bevan, wish to sum up?
No, thank you very much.
Put it to the vote then, all in favour? That is carried. (14.3) The application for waiving of fees for the Kaniva Playgroup.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Kaniva Playgroup have expressed an interest in using our the Kaniva Hall to conduct the Kaniva Kinder Gym, which is, as you can imagine, a little gym program for a number of kids. This is a pretty progressive and exciting opportunity for our community members to participate in this. Kinder Gym builds confidence, it keeps kids active, and by all reports, it has the opportunity to provide a service to up to 30 kids, which is a well-used, would be a well-used service. While they are developing this program, obviously funds are light, as you can imagine, with any new program in a not-for-profit and small organisation, and they have seeked assistance from council to perhaps waive the fees for the rest of this year at this stage, while they sort of get off the ground for a very worthwhile cause.
Any questions, Councillor Petrov?
No, I'm just happy to move.
That's happy. Councillor Petrov moves, seconded by Councillor Hicks. Move, wish to speak?
Look, what a positive little ask, really, from a community group. They're talking 5 different sessions. I don't think any of us probably need to look too far to think what a wonderful little thing I'd have to see them really handing around a jar for a gold coin each time. I think this has got so many, levels of benefits really to the parents and the kids and whatever else. Probably be interesting to be a fly on the wall to keep my eyes. Anyway, happy to support. Thank you.
I was almost waiting for Dalton to call them rugrats, and I'm pleased he didn't, because I'm sure they're loved by their parents dearly. I think it's a small amount of money that we can allocate to support, our youngest members of our community, and I think it's really. I have some experience with friends with Kinder Gym. It's a great crowd. It's a great group that teaches kids a lot of physical and physical coordination and activity programs, and I think we should encourage these in other groups for our own upcoming generations of rugrats, of children.
Anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Hobbs?
Yeah, I think it's, obviously great program, once again, very good social and mental health benefits, not just for the children, but also for the mums that get together and what they take from that. And dads. And to see 25 kids and a really progressive group of mums, but $290 is such a small investment for 5 sessions. Yep. So, and it's a great use of the Shire Hall.
Yep.
Anyone else wish to speak for or against?
It's a great place to be spending their money on our children.
Yep. Not rugrats.
Move, wish to sum up. Put it to the vote then, all in favour? That is carried. 15.1, the Kaniva Structure Plan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Some background on this one, the council got funding back in 2024 from the Department of Transport Planning to assist in the development of a small towns plan for the Western Shire. Following that, we identified the next steps are to develop structure plans for each of the urban areas of the council. And we were able to then commence the work on another structure plan. This has been through iterations, it's been a public consultation table attached to the report of the submissions received in that public consultation. And that table identifies a commentary around the recognition of the suggestion and whether the change is incorporated or not. Many of them were incorporated, and some minor edits have been incorporated in there as well from council feedback. So the report is asking council to adopt the structure plan and a range of other recommendations. Really, the machinations of then getting it implemented into the Western planning scheme.
Are there any questions?
I'm happy to move it, or did you
No, I'll go too.
Oh,
Can I ask?
yeah,
Yeah, please.
sorry.
No. Yeah, the structural plan for Tenaiva, will we be doing structural plans for our other towns?
Well, I believe we absolutely have it in our works that we will be trying to do this for all of our towns. We know planning and zoning in all of our towns is critical, and it's not just a one-off thing. It was just, this is where we got the funding, because this was the one that had the easiest one in a sense, that had the least amount of other work that had to go with it, but didn't have flood overlays and things like that involved as well. So that is why we've started at this point. But the intention is certainly to do all of our shires towns. So that is certainly our intention.
Thank you.
So it was moved by Councillor Predlove, seconded by Councillor Hicks. Councillor Predlove wishes to speak to it.
Yes. This Canaiva structure plan, I think, will, as it was said, it was started, I think, at the beginning of 2024, and we secured funding to put this together. There's been a lot of work involved. It's almost like doing another budget. There's been a lot of work. In my eyes, this is a process that really, I guess, it's part of criteria is to get money, which is how the whole system seems to work in Victoria. And it has been an important process just simply to prepare and look at Canaiva's first off the rank, I believe, providing this money for the other towns that we have sort of earmarked to do this, being Harrow and Apsley, Baroque and Edenhope. But the process, I believe, we have to go through this, we have to do this, we have to adopt this to for the Minister of Planning to tick it off for us now to be eligible to do some of the things that might be in here if they meet criteria. And I think for our towns going forward, you know, for the rezoning or extra housing or all of those areas that there seems to be funding for, we will stand a lot better chance by having this in place. And I'm sure it's really just, like I say, part of the big picture with the other towns, and hopefully there's some funding to do the same thing, and we can slowly move forward across our towns. So happy to support. Thank you.
Second wish to speak.
Briefly, a very important document. It's taken a lot of work in terms of preparing it. It has come backwards and forwards to council several times. It's also been out to the community for community consultation and comment. It's a plan that will be reviewed and viewed probably for the next 20 years or 25 years. It will form the basis for the development of Canaiva as a township. It will enable such things as rezoning, reallocation of resources. I think we've got to be aware that country towns have changed over the last 20 or 30 years, and we need to provide these sorts of documents that provide a guide towards forward viewing in where we're going with the towns and what their requirements might be in the future, and how councils can support the sustainability and development of country towns. And yes, Kaniva was the first on this occasion because of the amount of money that was allocated, and it was considered, as has been said, a priority, but also a good starting point. And once funds are available, I understand that the other towns will undergo the same process.
Anyone else wish to speak for or against? Councillor Hobbs?
I'll just reiterate and support the comments of my fellow councillors, and I just think the only other thing I'd add to that is that it was great to see those 13 submissions all up that came back from those consultations.
Anyone else wish to speak for or against? If not, I will just add a couple of comments as well. And again, we certainly thank the staff for the amount of work that's involved in this. This is very detailed work, and it is very expensive work, and it is very resource and time consuming work. And that's probably my biggest frustration with it, that we actually have to go through all these steps just to get a simple thing like a rezoning in our towns. The fact that shops currently can't put up a new sign at the front of their shop if they're changing business without having to get a planning permit because it's not zoned correctly. These kinds of things, the minister should just do it by a stroke of a pen. It should just be fixed. It's just common sense. And yet we've had to spend all this money, all this time, all this resources, do all this engagement just to achieve the most obvious things. And I know that there will be a lot of future, pre-planning that goes into these things, and in the future we'll be able to refer to this. And I just hope the planning minister doesn't go and change the planning schemes in the meantime that will make it bloody out of date. So yeah, hopefully when it comes to the other towns, who knows, with a change of government we might be able to do things quicker and simpler. Yeah, we're happy to support this. Does the mover wish to sum up? We put it to the vote. All in favour? That is carried. We have no items for the shielding schedule. I don't believe we have any late items of business. We have no confidential matters. With no further items, the meeting is closed. Thank you.
God, less than an hour.